let's say if you're going to get a moderate-sized truck that's about $30,000, the Toyota Corolla is 15, so you're already 15,000 ahead. But you get another $15,000 in gas savings over 100,000 miles.
Right.
So now it's $30,000 ahead by driving a Toyota Corolla 100,000 miles versus driving a $30,000 truck for 100,000 miles. Like buying a home versus renting. You can rent.
Right.
It only costs you, whatever you pay for rent.
Right.
Or you can buy a home, but when you buy a home, you go, oh gosh, look how expensive the home is.
Right.
Well, some people choose to continuously rent, but that's the way people are going to be with energy as well. Well, I'm not going to buy a system. I'll just pay the bill every month. It's the exact same thing. There's a box. I don't know if you saw the box by the railing up there, but there's a steel cable here.
Oh, yeah, I see
And
that.
everything, including the house, came up and down on the steel cable. And it works nice even in the wintertime, which is great. And then we load things up like groceries and firewood and furniture and refrigerators and things like that and take them up. This is kind of funny too, because a lot of people will say, well, geez, Steve, it's a sided house. Why didn't you put logs? This would be a great place for a log home.
Yeah.
But to have the exterior logs just drop down here enough to cover that house is $25,000. Oh. And I can do the house in siding for $7,000.
Right.
And so that's like $18,000 that I have left over. That's my whole energy system.
Right.
But people prefer the log home.
Yeah.
They won't get the energy system. They'll get the logs instead because they like the look. There's no payback on it.
Oh, this is your walk from your driveway to your home. Is pretty neat. Now, what do your kids say about it?
The difference really is that they've been here since they were born, basically.
Right.
So, or at least as long as they can remember.
Right.
This is normal. So I'm making electricity both ways right now. And really the bottom line is that this is a battery-powered house. And those two are both battery chargers. I'm down and I look up the house and I can just see the house just sucking up energy out of nothing.
Right.
You always think it's got to be coming from a power plant or something. It's not coming from a power plant. It's just like, just from air and sunshine, and poof, makes electricity. It's been working just wonderfully well, although by comparison, this requires no maintenance, and this requires maintenance every couple years.
Okay.
So that's the difference.
Moving parts.
Right, and so you got to take it down, you got to, change bearings or whatever periodically. Right. But the solar, you do nothing to it.
Guy, no. Back up, you're making Dad nervous.
You can see we don't live in a cave.
Yeah.
Everything in here is normal. Everything runs on 110 volts AC, and it's just like a regular home. There's no magic to it. But I've had a lot of people come by and they say, well, Steve, you should get one of those real high efficiency refrigerators, because you're living off the grid here. And what I like to do is I'll come by and I'll swing the door back and forth, and I'll say, yeah, I'm wasting energy right now. And I'll say, so what am I wasting? And I go, well, you're wasting electricity. I know, but from what? Where is this electricity from that I'm wasting? And I say, well, from the wind and solar. Yeah. I said, so when I'm wasting electricity, I'm wasting wind and sun. And when you're wasting electricity, what are you wasting? Either nuclear power or coal power. All right? So I said, who really needs the really high efficiency refrigerator?
Yeah.
This is you guys.
Yeah, the ones that
Now, if I can afford this in my energy budget, doesn't matter what kind of refrigerator I have.
Right.
And I can, so that's good. We do a conventional TV. We have all the sound system, although we don't really get television here. The satellite dish you see out there is for internet. So anyway, so that's all here. So that's the same thing that any other home would have.
Right.
Daughter is doing her regular stuff, and this is my older daughter, Gentian. It's her room. And my daughter has her room here too, the other daughter, Riley. Big difference here, like you were asking about what we would do different for lifestyle.
Right.
All right. And the difference in lifestyle that we have is that we have energy on a checking account. And most people have energy on a credit card. And I'm conscious of how much energy are in my batteries. And I can use up as much as I want as long as I have enough in the account.
Right.
So over the years, what we've learned is just not to throw electricity away, because I have to keep track of my energy account.
Right.
And how much is in my batteries.
Right.
But like I said, if I had the energy credit card, I would just say, well, yeah, just do it.
Right.
And then when the bill comes in the end of the month, we'll pay it.
Right.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
And so that's really the only thing we do different. Like if we wanted to vacuum all the rugs in here, and there's a lot of rugs in this house, I know how much energy everything consumes. The vacuum cleaner consumes 13 amps.
Okay.
Right? So if I'm running 13 amps for an hour or an hour and a half or so, or 2 hours vacuuming rugs, well, that's a pretty good draw on my system.
Right.
And if my system's already down, if my energy account is low,
Right.
then I'll say, well, it's going to be sunny tomorrow.
Right.
Let's do it tomorrow. Right?
Awesome.
Now, I could take and do it anyway because I have a backup generator.
Right.
If we ran so low that the system said, well, we really need to recharge these batteries, the generator will kick in
Okay.
and it'll recharge them back up.
Okay.
But I pay for that.
Right.
And it's like, I don't want to pay for that.
Right.
I'd rather say, let's do it tomorrow.
Right.
And that's why we do it. So, but that's basically it. So, and that's Lake Superior and Grand Island out there and things like that. So that's just the way it works.
Wow.
I mean, there's very little to think about. Most people are consuming an average of 800 kilowatt hours a month. That's the number. And for us, we consume in the summer about 275 kilowatt hours a month, which is about almost a third of what the average home consumes. But we still have an average home.
Right.
It's just that we don't let things run when we're not there. Keep in mind that it doesn't stop us from doing anything.
Right.
You want toast? Put it in the toaster, make
Right,
toast.
right.
You want to nuke something? Put it in the microwave oven, turn it on. No problem. It's just that, we're not going to have stuff running when we're not here. Everybody can do that, and the payback is immediately. As soon as you turn off a switch, the payback is boom,
Right.
immediate. But they won't do it because they'll consume 800, 850 kilowatt hours a month. We're doing the same thing with 4 people on 275 kilowatt hours.
Right.
Why they consume so much. So here, I have a panel here. I'm getting 14 amps from the solar panels. At this second, I'm not getting anything out of the wind. The wind has slowed down for some reason all of a sudden. But my batteries are at 52.6 volts. It's a 48 volt system, so I'm pretty well charged right now.
Okay.
So in this case, like I have surplus power because of the weather conditions that we've had right now. So we can do anything we want.
Well, if you want, I'll vacuum.
That'd be a good idea. We wouldn't turn you down, but too late. We did that before you came. Normal washer and dryer, except that it doesn't consume much power. And a hot water tank is an electric hot water tank. Most people don't use an electric hot water tank, but because we have a gravity-fed system here, because we're up on a rock and the water comes from down the valley, then the water lines would freeze if I would have keep them filled with water all the time. So I have to store water upstairs and then gravity feed it down.
Oh, okay.
Normally, if I just want to heat water, I heat from here up, which is only about 20 gallons of water. But our water pressure is so low on purpose that the whole family can take showers with only this much
Right.
water.
Right. It's always about just being efficient. Like in California,
Exactly.
we started where I was living. We started getting hit with these charges if you went over so many gallons of water. So I started taking like literally 2-minute showers. And you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I get everything done in 2 minutes.
Well, then I've had the girls do contests just to see how long it would take them. And they could do the same thing. A 2-minute shower is very possible, including washing their hair.
No, yeah, I would wash my. I mean, they have longer hair, so but I mean, I would soap up, rinse off, and I'd be out of there.
There's another simple one right here. Here's our coffee pot, but you notice the coffee goes directly into a thermos. There's no heating tray. It doesn't exist. All right, now think about how many millions of coffee pots are out there with heating trays.
Oh yeah.
Millions of them.
Right.
Why? That doesn't make any sense. My coffee never burns. It's ready all the time.
Right.
And in fact, since it never burns, I can actually reheat some of it in the morning. And it doesn't have that really bad flavor
Right,
because
right.
it's been sitting on a hot plate all day long.
Right.
It's just stuff like that.
I had no idea that this was even possible.
Well, it's actually been possible for a long time. And this is still kind of like a cottage industry because it hasn't gone mainstream yet. Now in Europe, it's huge. In Europe, they have what are called feed-in tariffs. And feed-in tariffs mean that if you were living in town and you had your system hooked up to the grid, and you don't need batteries when you have renewable energy hooked up to the grid. Batteries are not required. Same benefit, but instead of storing energy in batteries, you store your energy on the power lines.
Okay.
It's a great deal. right? But what they do is, in Europe, and many places in Europe, is that when you make power and you take that power and you send it off onto the grid lines, they'll pay you almost twice as much as you would have been charged for the power that you use. So it's profitable for you. So you can use the power that you normally use and get a profit by generating power onto the grid. And everybody pays a little bit more for electricity over there, but the power producers get paid back more than they would have spent for the same amount of power. It's great. And that's how they've gone from almost zero renewable energy up to almost 25%. They're getting close to 25% of all their energy in Germany in particular. It's like that. But here, you know, we hassle over this stuff.
Yeah, why? I don't.
Like offshore wind farms. We hassle over offshore wind farms. We shouldn't be. They should be building them.
Right.
And I've even had people very concerned about bird kills with wind turbines.
Oh,
right?
that's what I was hearing about, right? That I remember.
Yeah,
I was
heard
just
about that.
reading something.
Yeah, you've heard about that, and everyone's going to talk about that. But what's the bird kill count on mountaintop removal in West Virginia? Do we talk about that?
Right.
We
Yeah.
don't talk about that. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So it's just a new technology that's going to have this burden of never killing a bird, but blowing the top off of a mountain and throwing the waste rock into the valley and polluting the water and doing whatever else they want to do. We don't talk about bird kills. The energy system here has been running for almost 10 years. I can tell you that solar has been absolutely flawless. The inverter and generator system has been flawless. I've never had a failure on it. And the wind turbine, I have had to do maintenance on it.
Right.
And so sometimes it doesn't come at a convenient time. And the
Right.
generator I've had to replace. So the weakest part of this whole system is the generator.
Right.
But the rest of it's fine.
The fact that you have a family with teenagers and a normal house and you're totally off the grid and it's not like you don't have a huge windmill or a windmill farm or like a football field of solar panels. I can't believe more people. They're not fighting over getting this stuff. There's not a wait to get this stuff, for like years or whatever, There was a wait to get Priuses when gas prices went up, It was like...
You'll even hear arguments, well, wind energy isn't cost effective. Well, how come it's cost effective in Texas where they have 9 gigawatts of it? And how come it's cost effective in California? And how come it's cost effective in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah. Different wind?
I mean, I love driving through the wind farm out by Palm Springs, both sides of the 10 freeway, just mountains with the big ones, little ones, and just spin like crazy.
When you ask a question about carbon dioxide levels and global warming issues, you'll find now that the population is changing opinion to where it's less concerned than it was 5 years ago. The message that I often have for people is that this works. And so there's no reason to wait for better technology, because even if solar panels become more efficient, the only difference between a more efficient solar panel and the ones that I have right now is that they'll be smaller.
Right.
So what?
Right.
And if they're not cheaper, then you don't care if they're smaller. You want the cheapest panels you can get for the amount of power that you're going to get over a long time.
Right.
Those have been out there for 10 years. They look like brand new.
Yeah.
Right? So they're going to be out there for another 10 years. They're still going to look like they're brand new. It doesn't matter. So there's no reason not to do this right now, except that you have other priorities. And that's it. Because it's not the cost, because people buy cars all the time. It's not the technology, because this works. I haven't had a power outage since 1997 when I turned this place on. That was the last power outage I had. Everyone else lost power. I haven't lost power. So this stuff works. It's just that it's going to take a while for people to change their minds. And this one, by the way, is a little different in that it's a tracker. I get another 30% more energy in the summertime, 35% more energy in the summertime with the tracker. Between the wind and the sun is your major power source in the summer, and the wind is your major power source in